Hello everybody, it's Carmel, your garden guy, and today we're planting some beautiful bulbs to have some lovely color. Join me as I show you all my favorite tips when growing bulbs in containers. So when it comes to growing bulbs, and especially growing them in containers, there's a few things which really make the difference between getting some lovely flowers and an absolute disaster. Now, one of them is drainage. Drainage is extremely important when it comes to growing bulbs because these little guys can sit in water and get all rotten up. They really don't like wet feet, so it's extremely important that they have good drainage. Now, let's start and have a look at our container. I've chosen a terracotta pot over here from Lots of Pots, and as you can see, it's got a beautiful big hole at the bottom, terrific for drainage. Now, terracotta pots, you want to water them a bit before you plant them up, and I've already done that so that they don't suck up all the moisture we're trying to get to our precious little bulbs. Okay, so to plant up our little container with some lovely bulbs today from Adeco, and I'm so excited, I can't wait. So let's get into it. I'm gonna pop into my little terracotta pot. I'm gonna go with some gravel. Whoopsie. Maybe a little bit too much, but like about that much should be fine. And I'm just gonna level that in the bottom of my container, and that's gonna help us with that drainage. And pretty much it's just gonna stop our garden soil from plugging that drainage hole. Okay, so now we've got some lovely gravel at the bottom, and in next, over here, have some beautiful potting soil. Look at that. This is from Colterra, and I tell you, it works wonders. Remember, you can never ever put garden soil into containers, into any pot. It's looking for trouble, I promise you. You want to go with the good stuff, with a reliable potting soil, and preferably an outdoor potting soil if you're going to be planting or leaving your containers outdoors. So I'm going to go ahead with this guy, and I want you to be able to see, so I'm just going to lift it a bit like this. You see there's all my gravel at the bottom. On top of that, I'm putting a nice bunch of proper potting soil. Okay, now I've actually got a bit too much in here, because what you want to be doing is only filling up your container to the level where you're going to be planting your bulbs. Now, that's quite a bit lower. In many cases, bulbs get planted a lot deeper than you think they should. Yes, so don't be scared. Follow the package instructions. Make sure you plant them really as deep as they say, and you're going to be quite all right. So, I'm going to put too much in here, so I'm going to take some of it out. But you can see this container is only filled up to around about this depth here right now. Okay, and that's the depth I want to be planting. It's time to put them in here. Hey, so just open the package. Now, you don't want to be planting bulbs any later than sort of middle June. Ideally, you want to be planting them in autumn rather than early winter, but you'll get away with it early winter, but not into July or so. Then you most likely going to miss the flowers, because the plant will die back when the heat comes before it flowers in summer. Right, so I've got here a nice handful of anemone bulbs, and I want you to come over and look here. Now it's time to feed them some of this stuff. Some lovely bone meal is going in before I'm planting. Right, now bone meal helps with root growth, and that's really important when planting bulbs, because throughout the next few months, they're going to be developing roots and a proper little base of their plant. And only in spring or late winter will they start flowering. So that's why we're using bone meal, to help them with that initial root growth and establishment, so that we know we've got a healthy plant when it comes time to flower. And I'm just going to shake that level again and have a look. There we go. Now comes the actual time to put our little bulbies in here. And look at these dudes. Now, bulbs are so blooming interesting because they all look different. Have a look at that. That looks so gnarly and funny, eh? You wouldn't think something like that would make as beautiful a flower as these little guys, eh? Now, Obviously, some bulbs are more suited for containers than others. Personally, I think these should actually be planted out in the open garden. But I've got the pots around and I want to give it a try. You know, what's fun in gardening if you can't do some experimenting, man? So that's what's happening. Yeah, okay. So we're going to be sticking these bulbs in according to your packaging instructions. That'll tell you how far apart you can plant them. On my gardening website, plantinfo.co.za, I've got a number of these bulbs listed as well, and there you can also go and do some research in terms of when to plant them, when they're going to flower, and sort of how deep and far apart you need to be planting all your bulbs. So do yourself a favor, if you're interested in planting bulbs, have a look at our little bulbs category on there. Right, finally, let's stick these guys in here. So come over, but come closer, let me show you here. Now, I'm going to be positioning these guys a little bit closer than I should be, and that's because I'm doing it in a container and I want that concentrated, beautiful bush of flowers coming out here. Okay, so I'm just gonna stick in a last little few, don't overdo it. We'd rather have some left than have too many in here. Okay, so these are nice and evenly spaced right through, and now it's time to come with the rest of our Cultura potting soil. Okay, now don't be scared, lob it in here. And we're going to plant and fill this entire pot up right close to the rim, hey? To the bottom rim. You want to leave some space, but to this bottom bit of the rim, okay? Now, these bulbs are going to take some time to come up here. And for all that time, we're going to have an empty pot lying around. So, the solution to that is these beautiful dudes over here. Oh, isn't that stunning? Beautiful, beautiful. Primula caulis. Right, now you can use any sort of winter annual or summer annual if you're doing this in the summer, and the idea of these guys is to be planted along the top of our container. Let me just pull the sarine out here. There we go, look at him, hey, beautiful. Now we're going to be planting these guys on top of our bulbs, right? Now look at this, I'm just putting this little guy in here, and I'm going to give him some friends as well. Now, what these little guys are going to do is they're sort of going to function as a living mulch. And what that means is they're going to give us some lovely color on the top, while at the same time covering the soil on the top of the container, which makes sure that our soil temperatures in our container are a little bit more stable. And that's really quite important when it comes to growing bulbs. You see, bulbs don't enjoy fluctuations in soil temperature because that's what helps them determine the time of year and when they should be flowering. So it's really important to give them as stable as you can of a soil temperature, and living mulch helps you do that, besides the fact that it looks absolutely beautiful. And can you imagine these colors? Look at them, they're gonna look stunning. And while these guys are in full flower, we're gonna have little green bulb shoots coming out here and pushing their own flowers, which will be even more beautiful. Okay, so give me a moment. I'm going to stick some of these little primulas in here, and then we'll catch up. Typically, you'll plant bulbs in autumn to flower in late winter and early spring, and some into summer. And the other side of the coin is that you plant them in spring and early summer, and they will flower through autumn into early winter. Okay, so that's when you be planting bulbs, okay? And this guy's looking absolutely lovely. I just want to fill him up, fill him in here with some more potting soil. Now you need to make sure your bulbs do get water. They want some water. They don't want to stand in the water, but they definitely need a sort of reliable application of water for them to really start growing. And it's suggested that you do it between 4 and 5 days, every 4 or 5 days, to make sure that they start growing and produce luscious growth, but at the same time aren't overwatered and rot up in all sorts of waterlogged soils. Okay, so really important, if you're planting bulbs, really make sure you get a proper soil or a proper potting mixture, and make sure you do the drainage right and water them well. Okay, I'm just about done with this little guy here. I'm quite chuffed with how he's turned out. Hey, look at that. Oh yeah, lovely. I tell you, Can you imagine giving a friend or two, maybe a bit larger or a bit smaller pot, stack them right around the patio, and in no time we're gonna have these beautiful little shoots of luscious green bulbous growth coming out in between and rewarding us with those beautiful flowers when the time comes. Hey, look at that. There we go. Bulb planting 101. Thank you for your time and for spending a day with me in the garden a little bit. I've been Calm Woman, your garden guy. Until next time, happy bulb planting, happy container growing, and happy gardening.